I would like to say thank you for allowing me to send a message through you to all of your followers and the rest of humanity. Now we look at what has been happening on the planet. Know that not all is as it seems. There are many lies, much disinformation, even AI. You don't even know if what you see is real. So one must discern in their own hearts, in their own minds, the truth, not to follow the crowd, not to believe everything you see is real, for it is not. Discernment is needed so much at this time. Be wise. Try to look at what's really happening. Try not to focus too much on everything. Situations will change dramatically from when they start to when they end. So don't put a lot of energy into that. There is some good news for you all, that we know about the grand shift of the ages. We are aware. We have been briefed. We are in contact. Everything will go as planned. There's much ahead of you of much more importance. This has been planned for centuries. Now, moving into the 5D energy, the 5D consciousness, vibrations and frequencies, you are all aligning with our words, with our messages. We are happy that you are following this line of information as it is coming from Source, from benevolent beings, for the good of humankind. This information is truth over the fantasy that you come across quite often. Discern between the two. You'll feel it. You will understand if this information is resonating with you now. It is a good sign for all of us. Take a moment to breathe. Calm yourselves. Focus on what's ahead. This is what's in our sights as well. This is our graduation to the 5D timeline frequencies, leaving the falseness of this world behind us. We don't know the day or the time, but the energies are shifting. The light is surrounding the planet. We haven't seen anything like this. What's happening here? Maybe ever. There's a reason. There's a purpose. Of that, I'm sure. I want you to focus on your future timeline. Bring that into reality, the new crystalline reality. This event will be truly amazing. I can only imagine the possibilities of what it might be like. But I know one thing for sure. It's going to be so fantastic, so grand, so beautiful when we all shift to the new timeline. Know that you are all safe. You are all being watched over. Nothing will stop this event. We bring you much joy, peace, and wonder. I have much to say, but I am the quiet one, speaking to you now. Thank you for allowing me to use your voice to get my message out. I am sure I will have more to say about what's happening and will happen for all of you. But for now, I just want to say hello. Welcome you all in love and in light. Miracles do happen. Don't forget that. I shall come anonymously, but I will be back to speak with all of you. Enjoy your holidays with family and friends. Celebrate with joy. We love you all. We carry your future with us. That is all for now. Thank you for listening to my message. Thank you for being a voice for me.
And of course, this has happened before during the Clinton administration.
Yeah, that's right.
Detainees of Cuban and Haitian descent were both detained at Guantanamo. Are you looking at that model in setting up this detention facility?
Secretary Hegseth, I believe, was on television this morning answering this question, and he said that the Department of Defense is already on it. He has directed his agency to ensure that Gitmo is increasing their capacity for beds, and that's exactly what President Trump's executive order did. It directed Secretary Hegseth and also Secretary Noem to expand the Migrant Operations Center at the Naval Station to provide for this extra detention space. And as Secretary Hegseth confirmed this morning, that operation is underway.
A very complicated thing that if people could hear the details, they would be shocked. There's no button to push, right?
Exactly.
So,
and that's so important. You know, I've seen a couple people in the chat just now, and it just happened. It's perfect timing because somebody asked, "Well, why the delay?"
there is no
And
delay.
that's a fair and logical question. It is.
Yeah, there's no delay. It's just what he calls it is a slow rollout. And the way I picture it is it's this old ancient machine. It's a moving machine, like it's like a truck, like a big truck. But it's so ancient because it was discarded and it rusted, and they're trying to get it moving. And it began to move when Trump got in office, but it's like in such slow motion you couldn't even see the movement. And now they've actually got it moving, but it's still slow. And I believe it's perfect timing because of the fact that all of these people groups, I haven't even named all the people at risk. When we get to the other side, after the EAS, after the 12 days of disclosure, the suicides start to happen. It's going to be everywhere, all around you. No one will be untouched by someone who they didn't lose. And then you're going to go, oh, that's why that machine had to go that slow, because it's like an algorithm that has to figure in the lives of the people that we love, your children, your uncles, your aunts, your friends' children, all of these people. You don't want mass funerals to happen because you wanted it to go too fast. I do want it to happen, and it is going to happen. You know, I can't say anything, but
of course.
Anyway.
but Tracy, I think that's it's such an important point. It really is, because I say this, a simple answer I give is, what is taking so long? I know we tend to have a little bit of an older audience. So how many people in this audience have ever planned a wedding?
Yeah.
For 6 months or a year? Now try planning a wedding for a couple billion people and mixing in military, financial services, health, pharmaceuticals, laws, constitutions. I mean, the scale of this, for the things that we all talk about, that we kind of sometimes just throw out there and talk about, you know, free energy and med beds, each one of those things on its own could be years and years and years in the making. And I agree that that's the logistics side of it. And yeah, all the things that we're all going through. Again, I'm going to speak for myself and not for everybody else. Like, I don't feel anxious and depressed because of Nasara not coming. Q says those who know don't sleep. And that's not those who are waiting for Nasara don't sleep. It's those who don't sleep because when you find out how horrible things are, you don't sleep.
Yeah.
So just imagine what myself and many other people are dealing with because of the last 3 or 4 years. Imagine that all happening, if that happened in 2016 in a week to all society. It's not possible. I say it all the time. The hardest part about this is not the logistics. The hardest part about this is they had this plan, and like I said, you're talking about military. Once they get the right people under control, they could have executed the logistics and taken out the people in a fairly short period of time. The question is, how do you tell the entire world that they've been lied to for their entire lives without losing hundreds of millions of people?
And
It's
then,
not an easy thing to do.
They keep telling us that those that you thought were good were not, and those that the opposite. And I just found out about 2 people that are about to get arrested, and it is going to shock the truther community. It is going to be very, very hard on them because they put their faith in them. They trusted them. They loved them. Many, many people loved them. And when they find out what they were really seeing wasn't real, I mean, they're not clones or anything. Just, they were not who they said they were.
I've been fighting fake news reporters all day long here in the Washington, D.C. swamp who are trying to fearmonger the American people into believing that this administration is going after their hard-earned tax dollars and their hard-earned Social Security checks. So I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the Doge team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. And so their goal in going into the Social Security Administration is to identify 3 things. Number 1, to identify duplicate payments and to end them. Number 2, to identify payments that are going to deceased people who are no longer living and should no longer be receiving that money. And number 3, to protect the integrity of this system for hardworking Americans who have been paying into it their entire lives. So rest assured to all of the people watching your show tonight, if you paid into the system honestly, you will continue to receive your Social Security checks. Do not buy into the lies from the legacy fake news media who are trying to fear you and scare you into believing otherwise. This is what we've seen them do about President Trump for years with every promise that he has made. And he's going in there to protect your hard-earned money. That is the ultimate goal.
I look at the numbers every day. On Friday, I looked at the numbers. There's over 62,000 children found by the Trump administration. Children that weren't even being looked for in the Biden administration. President Trump saved over 62,000 children's lives. Some of these children were in sex trafficking, we found them. Some were in forced labor. Some were being mistreated. I can't even discuss some of the mistreatment we found out about. President Trump, again, proves why he's the greatest president in my lifetime. Over 62,000 children rescued by President Trump. Again, children that were ignored and weren't being looked for under President Biden.
I hope you will be excited to support my new legislative initiative in 2026. Some of you already know about it because it's already in the works. Thank you very much. I wish you and your families a very happy and Merry Christmas and a healthy New Year. Thank you.
Well, I just heard about that for the first time. The only thing I can tell you, I know one thing for sure, Mr. Speaker, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for children. Okay? I don't know what it is she's doing, but I know it's going to be great for children. Because she loves children.
Claims that vast hidden tunnel networks are linked to child trafficking are not supported by credible evidence, but child trafficking itself is a real and serious global problem. Trafficking usually happens through manipulation, online exploitation, coercion by someone the child knows, or organized criminal networks, not through secret underground systems. Experts who investigate trafficking focus on issues like poverty, unstable homes, online grooming, and lack of protective resources, all of which traffickers exploit. While it's important to stay alert to real dangers,
played by the rules. You didn't buy the Ferrari, you bought the sensible sedan. You put your money in the safest bank in town, the one with the marble pillars and the armed guards. You trust them implicitly. Now imagine you get into an argument with the bank manager. Maybe you disagree on politics. Maybe you park in his spot. Maybe you just look at him wrong. You wake up the next morning, reach for your phone to check your balance, and it's zero. Not because you spent it, not because a hacker stole it, but because the bank manager simply decided you don't get access to your own money anymore. He froze it. He deleted your admin privileges to your life's work. Now, zoom out. Stop imagining you're a person. Imagine you are a country. Imagine you are China. Imagine you are Brazil. Imagine you are Saudi Arabia. For decades, the global economy has been running on a single operating system, the US dollar. It's the safe bank. It's where you park your nation's wealth if you want it to be secure. But recently, the bank manager has started locking the doors. We are watching a slow-motion divorce of epic proportions. The Brics alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and their new friends are quietly, methodically, and ruthlessly dumping US debt. They are selling the very thing that holds the American economy together, and they are buying the only asset that has no off switch: gold. Why are they doing it? Is it revenge? Is it survival? Or do they know something about the American economy that most US citizens are too distracted to see? Buckle up. We're about to dive into the most dangerous financial war of the 21st century. If you're new here, we talk about money, power, and how the world actually works, not how the news tells you it works. Today we're talking about the Brics revolt. You've seen the headlines. China sells treasury bonds. Central banks buy record amounts of gold. But the mainstream media usually frames this as just normal market fluctuation. Let me be clear, there is nothing normal about this. We are seeing a structural shift in the plumbing of the global financial system. To understand why nations are fleeing the dollar, we have to look at the dark underbelly of geopolitics and the sheer mathematical horror of the US balance sheet. I've broken this down into 6 key reasons why the world is dumping Uncle Sam's IOU notes and stacking yellow metal bars like it's the apocalypse. Let's get into it. 1. The weaponization of finance, the $300 billion wake-up call. Let's start with the smoking gun, the catalyst. The moment the music stopped and everyone looked around the room realizing they were trapped. We have to go back to February 2022. Russia invades Ukraine. Now, putting aside your personal feelings on the conflict, strictly looking at this through the cold, dead eyes of an economist, what happened next was unprecedented in modern financial history. For decades, central banks operated on a gentleman's agreement. If I buy your debt, treasury bonds, that is a sovereign contract. It is sacrosanct. It is above politics. Even during the height of the Cold War, the financial plumbing remained mostly neutral. Money was money. But in 2022, the US and its European allies decided to press the nuclear button of finance. Within days of the invasion, the G7 nations froze roughly $300 billion of Russia's central bank reserves. Let that number sink in. $300 billion. Imagine you have a savings account with $100,000 in it, and the bank just says, "Nah, we're holding on to this until you behave." Now, the US viewed this as a necessary sanction to stop a war machine. But how do you think that looked to Beijing? How did that look to Riyadh? How did that look to New Delhi? If you are Xi Jinping sitting in the Great Hall of the People, you are looking at your own balance sheet. China holds over $700 billion in US treasuries. You're watching Russia get their wallet confiscated, and you have a sudden, terrifying realization. That money isn't mine. It's just a digital entry on a server in New York. And if I make a move on Taiwan, or if I disagree with American trade policy, my $700 billion can vanish in a nanosecond. This is what we call counterparty risk. Usually, when we talk about risk in bonds, we talk about credit risk, the risk that the borrower won't have the money to pay you back. But US treasuries were always considered risk-free because the US can just print the money to pay you. But suddenly, a new risk appeared: political risk. The risk that the US has the money but simply refuses to give it to you. This shattered the illusion of the neutral dollar. The dollar stopped being a global public good and started looking like a geopolitical leash. Visual direction. Show a map of the world with the Brics nations highlighted in red. Show arrows representing money flowing out of the US and into gold vaults. Think about it like this. You're at a poker game. The house, the US, supplies the chips, the dollar. But the house also announces, by the way, if you win too much or if you play a card we don't like, we're keeping your chips. Would you keep playing with those chips? Or would you start looking for a different currency to gamble with?
In international settlements, all this is allowed to greatly reduce business costs in cross-border payments. As for imports, we need to shift the emphasis towards high-tech products that currently have no analogs in Russia, or so-called simple commodities that allow that require for lots of unqualified labor. In general, what I'd like to say, the measures already taken in demography are obviously insufficient. The trend is still negative and birth rate is still falling. Of course, there are objective reasons for that, for the situation to develop this way. And those reasons include the global demographic trends and an overlap of negative demographic waves of mid-20th and late 20th century. Of course, we should factor in international challenges, but at the same time, let me emphasize that our long-term historic goal is to preserve our people. And despite objective difficulties, we must keep this benchmark in mind, this goal in mind. Supporting families with children, supporting longevity are key priorities of our joint efforts.
Recent peace efforts show a mixed picture. In Cyprus, Greek and Turkish Cypriot leaders have agreed on practical confidence-building measures like improved crossings, market access for products, and shared water infrastructure, offering new momentum toward long-stalled reunification talks after decades of division. AP News. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, negotiations continue with competing proposals on how to end the war, but disagreements over territorial sovereignty and continued fighting complicate progress toward a comprehensive peace deal. AP News. At the same time, a U.S.-brokered peace agreement between DR Congo and Rwanda is facing setbacks as rebel advances undermine stability in eastern Congo, highlighting how fragile peace processes can be. Financial Times. These developments show persistent diplomatic efforts alongside ongoing challenges in achieving lasting peace in conflict zones.
There are still horrible leaders that have failed this country in too many ways to count, and we cannot entrust them with South Africa's future and prosperity. The same thinking should be applied to Ashley Souls. His political party uses the politics of immigrants, and that alone got them many votes. Why? Because that was one of the greatest pain points of most South Africans during the voting season. As South Africans, we need to rise above such logic. We cannot be a people that vote for a party simply because of one policy. Every now and then, these politicians will say something that you like, something that excites you, something that you agree with, but it doesn't mean that they are decent people.
So all we want is for foreigners to show identification. Now people are saying it's like the pass system. That's being disingenuous. South Africans are walking around with identification.
The Patriotic Alliance stood against illegal immigration, but it doesn't mean that they are people who are here for what is right. I mean, for example, this is Willem Kize, the former Minister of Health. Take a listen.
I was saying that we're receiving or will be receiving an amount of 156 million.
156.
156.
That's the total equitable share.
Correct, Chair.
Budgets for salaries.
And then employees' salaries amounts to 141 million.
141.
Correct, Chair.
And then 12 million goes to
councillors' remunerations will amount to 12 million.
And what would you say is the services that you have rendered for 160 million? 155 million because it's already overshooting?
Chairperson, it is overshooting. I think maybe to come to the question of the investment amount that we once had, to cover those services, we've been using that investment to do.
No, that's not the question. The question is, you have now paid yourselves and councillors and everyone 155 million. You received 150 million, and I'm asking you. You get paid to do what?
Now, does grilling members of the ANC mean that he's innocent, that he's patriotic, that he represents your interests as a citizen? No, it does not. He himself is as dirty as they come. We have covered a lot of his dirt in several videos already. So with that in mind, when you see Ashley Souls do this, do not be overly impressed.
The blood is on Cyril's hands. That spineless Cyril Ramaphosa who is only good at reading the news during COVID and organizing commissions and national dialogues, knows exactly what's going on, knows who's guilty, and the only reason he hasn't said anything is because he's complicit. And he has blood on his hands. And every other member of cabinet, ANC member of cabinet, is guilty of something, but they know what Cyril's guilty of, and they're caught in this kind of, this knot, this Gordian knot of evil. Anyone still voting and supporting for the ANC is either evil, complicit, or a moron.
This is Singapore's insane car vending machine. It has 15 floors, and each one is holding supercars worth more than $3 million.
It's basically like a vending machine. You can select whatever your car you want, and they'll bring it down for you. There's actually 40 levels here. Enjoy. Oh. Wow. So right now we're on the elevator. It's a little bit nerve-wracking when you're all the way up here.
Do you recognize any of these people? Can you figure it out by looking? They all have one thing in common, and that's that they've all died. Well, at least they told us they all died. You see, I've been exposing celebrity and musician and politician fake deaths for 2 years, but it took me almost a full 2 years to get down to the bottom of why they really faked their deaths. Some of you aren't ready for it. See, I used to just think that they faked their deaths as these people and became these people for trauma-based mind control, to control the masses. But no, it's something much, much more sinister. And I'm going to prove it to you in the most unlikely of places. The show Breaking Bad and Walter White, aka Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston, who used to be this guy right here, SNL star Phil Hartman. But I've done a video on this, how Phil Hartman faked his death and became Bryan Cranston, and I've proven it. You can go watch the full video, but for those of you that need to be caught up, look at how perfectly their faces fit together. But there's more. And here's Phil again, and here's Bryan again, and here's Phil's wife. And here's Bryan's wife. And I always say they bring their wives with them, but this isn't what I want to show you. What I want to show you is going to prove why they do this, which I haven't gotten to yet. And just to fully prove this to you and fully catch those of you up that didn't see that video, let's look at that dot and that dot. Notice how they're both on the forehead wrinkle, and that one, and right under the forehead wrinkle, and how the forehead wrinkles match. And well, would you look at that? It's Phil Hartman and Bryan Cranston. And here's where this goes from kind of believable to totally unbelievable, unless you are the most open-minded, awake souls. Because like I said, the proof comes in the most unlikely of places, the show Breaking Bad and Walter White, because I couldn't help but notice something. A random clip that just seemed suspicious. Let's see if you notice anything.
Yeah, see, Presidente Grant, very important man. See?
You see in that clip, he gave a bunch of cleaning women $100 bills and got to the 50 and suspiciously said, Presidente Grant, a very important man. Presidente Grant as in Ulysses S. Grant, our 18th president. Do you notice anything suspicious about him? What about now? That's Walter White, the person that said Presidente Grant is a very important man. So what? They look alike. There's been billions of people. People are bound to look alike. But did you notice what's right there? So maybe they're long-lost relatives, and they all share bloodlines anyway, but it couldn't possibly be the same person, right? I mean, their lips wouldn't match up so perfectly, and their nose wouldn't match up so perfectly, and the eyebrow wouldn't smooth over perfectly on both sides, and the eyes wouldn't, and that mole wouldn't be in the exact same place, would it? Would it really if they were just doppelgangers? Well, what if not only there's one mole, but two? 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. And I'm not even done yet. Notice how when we scroll over, there's another mark right there in the exact same place. Now you tell me, what are the odds that he says Presidente Grant, a very important man, and just happens to look just like him with the same beard and mustache and nose and moles and moles and moles? You tell me. Oh, and Bryan Cranston, a.k.a. Phil Hartman, he just happened to play a president on SNL. President Clinton. You want to know how many times he played that president? Phil Hartman played Bill Clinton on SNL. A very specific 18 times. Do you remember what else I said was 18? Can you see that up there? Ulysses S. Grant, the 18th president, who sadly died on July 23rd. And Phil Hartman, a.k.a. Bryan Cranston, a.k.a. Ulysses S. Grant, just happened to have a birthday on July 24th, but they celebrate it on the 23rd or the 24th. So what I am getting at, if you haven't connected the dots, is that he was born in 1822, and it's 2025. That's over 200 years ago. They fake their deaths because they can live a lot longer than you and I. And to avoid suspicion of that, they need to fake their deaths and recreate themselves. Now I have theories on how they do this, whether they're fallen angels and literally not human, or if they drink a brine, or if they drink the gold juice, which is literally gland from a sperm whale that is proven to help stop aging. I don't know for sure. My opinion is it's probably a combination of them all, but to deny this is to do yourself a disservice, to know the true reality of where you live and not be stuck in the reality that they presented to you so you couldn't figure stuff like this out. Well, I'm a guy that figured stuff like this out, and I'm just trying to help because I care. I'm literally just a guy that was a high school PE teacher for 20 years, and for some reason I have a gift to see through the lies, and once I figured out how much I had been lied to my whole life and how much I hate liars and lying, I felt it my duty to help share with others so they could figure out the true reality of their God-created realm where maybe fallen angels are deceiving the entire world as a revenge to the Most High because they're stuck here. And, well, personally, I think we come and go here for a little experience, learn our soul lesson, and go. And, well, they're just trapped here under the firmament. But, of course, all this entertainment purposes, I really just think those are two coincidental dots, just like it's coincidental that those dots are the same and their faces are the same, even though faces aren't symmetrical unless they're the same, and even though people having the same dots and looking alike is less than 1 in a trillion odds. But, of course, just coincidence, people. Entertainment only. I don't really believe in fallen angels and vampires and a brine. Nah. Entertainment. No, from the Earth's core. Well, if you do, you should stick around. And if you like dragons, you should stick around too. You see, once you realize you don't live where you thought you lived, it causes you to question a lot of things you thought you always knew. And volcanoes, they're no different. So I went volcano hunting because I wanted to see what I could see. And I went to Mount Rainier in Washington. And right away I noticed something. And you might not see it right away, but I sure did. But take a look, and then I'll show you. How about now? Is it coming clear now? So I thought, maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe this actually is just pareidolia. So I went to another volcano, and I found another face that looked pretty similar, down to its eyes and even nose and mouth. And when you compare two different volcanoes side by side, faces are clearly there, but this isn't even the half of it. Because I kept hunting and I kept going to volcanoes and I kept finding remnants of dragons. Do you see this face here down to its eye, long beak, and its whole dragon body? Again, this isn't even the end of it. But this would have been its stomach, where it would have held a whole lot of its fire acid. Next, I went to Mount Vesuvius and found dragon remnants. This one literally looked like it died here. You can see its head here and its mouth, and like it spewed its acid to create this hole.
Remember when I told you, once Alaska thaws out, she's going to be able to move. And when she's able to move that tail, all hell is going to break loose. Now, let's talk about it. You all remember when they were evacuating Alaska because of the glaciers that were melting? Well, look, in the last 24 hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I told you all, for those of you that know what you're looking at, here's the tail where it comes out. All right? There's number 9. And I told you all, this would be the part that was going to move first. It has to unthaw. And once this unthaws, she'll be able to move that tail from the Bering Sea. All right? And if this tail sweeps this way, at some point, it could send a tidal wave. It'll destroy all of Hawaii.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it. That's according to Israel's former space security chief. In an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. NBC News chief global correspondent Bill Neely explains this one.
Hi, Alison. Well, this is quite a story, and it comes from the man who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years. Not immigrants, but extraterrestrials. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets, he claims, but was asked not to do so by the Federation in order to prevent what he calls mass hysteria. Well, the retired general says the US and Israel have kept it from the public because, quotes, humanity isn't ready and the aliens don't want to reveal themselves until humanity can evolve, he says, and understand what space really is. Well, the good news is that he claims an agreement has been reached between the US government and the aliens, a contract to do experiments here. There's also, he says, a secret underground base on Mars where there are American and alien representatives. Now, this former head of a branch of Israel's defense ministry is 87. He was very well respected, at least until now. And he said all this in an interview with an Israeli newspaper in Hebrew, but it's really taken off after parts of it were published in English by the Jerusalem Post today. He says he's come forward now in the hope that his news will be accepted as true. He notes that if he'd made these claims 5 years ago, he would have been hospitalized, but now he says, I've got nothing to lose. Well, so far, President Trump has not tweeted about this, though remember a year ago, he did set up the Space Force as the fifth branch of the US Armed Forces. Well, we did ask the White House, the Department of Defense and Israeli officials to comment. So far, they have not responded to the NBC News request. And I wonder if they ever will.
That brings me back to the beginning of this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Our world is changing, and all we can do is look ahead and hope for a better future. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. It really helps me create higher quality content.